The future of music is heading in a dark, dystopian direction. Now, this may sound like hyperbole, but a lot of it is already happening underneath our nose. Let's get right into it. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Ministry of Guitar. I'm Utkarsh coming to you from Singapore. If you like this channel, do consider subscribing to the Substack. Now, as you know, on this channel, we don't only talk about music and guitar, we also look at the industry, we also look at economics, we look at the real world. So that for us idealist musician types, we look not only at the world the way we want it to be, but the way it actually is, so that we don't linger on in our delusions. So I have been thinking a lot rather about the future of music for the last few years. And sometimes I am very positive about it because I think that AI and everything is a great tool. Sometimes I'm extremely negative about it. But I had yet to reach a consensus. The other day, I was helping my wife book, or rather look at some places to book because she and her school friends are going for a girls' trip to Greece. So we were looking up some of the places. And then guess what? Obviously, I got inundated with ads in my Facebook, Instagram, wherever have you. Wherever you visit any website, you have additional ads just retargeting you. And in that moment, I realized that the future of ads is a lot like the future of music. Let me explain. So, let's think of where the advertising industry began, right? Think of the days of Don Draper Mad Men. He's fictional, of course, but basically, advertising was this, not to say artistic, but there was a lot of creativity in the process of creating great ad. Think of all the great ads of your childhood or things that you've seen, right? There was a whole team that used to sit and create these ads, right? You used to see them on television. Everybody used to see pretty much the same ads because everybody watched the same channels. And you had the same things on newspapers as well. Then something happened in the late 90s and the early 2000s that changed everything. You may say that it's the internet, and you're right, but it's more than the internet. What happened is that in 2005 onwards, so on and so forth, maybe a little earlier, a little later, people started making their individualized social media accounts. This individual bit is important because suddenly you were individually identifiable on a global scale. Not only that, not only were you individually identifiable, you were suddenly present, aware, available to be marketed to 24/7 versus just the time you switched on the TV or just the time you read the newspaper. The implications of this were dramatic because it was a advertiser's dream, because previously I had to put an ad out there and hope that the right person sees it. Now I almost had a way of targeting the right person. This is kind of how Facebook and to some extent YouTube and Google made a lot of their money, because individually identifiable or groups of people or people in themselves, though a lot of it has been made illegal now, but in general, just because all of your individual data is out there, companies can market to you, and they can market to you all the time. This entire bit has also been linked with the sharp increase in consumerism in the world. Right, in the last 15 years, the amount of the stuff that we buy has gone up dramatically because now, because of the internet, because of our individual accounts, we are constantly being marketed to. So we kind of end up buying more stuff, consuming more stuff, watching more stuff. You're familiar with all of this. What does this have to do with music? I think it shows us very much the direction in which music is headed. Because what happens is when you are individually identifiable, you are available to be individually designed for. So as a marketer, it means that if this person, Utkarsh, went and searched for accommodation in Greece, then I can sell the ad space of Utkarsh to an airline company who wants to sell Utkarsh a ticket to go to Greece. I can sell it to a hotel who wants to tell Utkarsh to stay in their hotel. Right? We understand this. We check out. We put any item in a cart on Amazon, will be retargeted with advertisement on Amazon. What has happened is that advertising moved from a mass model to an individualized model where every person is receiving different advertising depending on who they are and their behavior. Earlier, you had mass things reaching everybody, similar things, everybody is seeing similar advertising, everybody is seeing similar things. Now, you have individualized recommendations reaching you on your feed, whether it's social, e-commerce, wherever. Now think of music. Music used to be that, of course, artists put out their vision, executives put out what they think is the best thing based on the needs of the market. Maybe there's a rock market, maybe there's a country market, maybe there's a pop market, soul market, jazz market, whatever. What has happened now is that the spirit of individualization of individual accounts has extended to music as well. Because if previously you were anonymously buying CDs or cassettes, like even I did, now what you do, majority of us use a service like Spotify or Apple. And especially on Spotify, because I don't use Apple, so I can't comment that much. What happens is increasingly the music we listen to is the music that is getting served up to us by Spotify. Think about it. Like if you look at your Spotify feed, of course, there are the artists that you know and love since well before the days you started using Spotify. But a lot of it is often coming as a recommendation, there's a Discover Weekly, Spotify does, for example, and many other things. So much like you had a mass model for music, in terms of the music that you're exposed to, because everybody listens to the same radio station, everybody in the US maybe heard Casey Kasem's Countdown. Now everybody is getting an individualized feed even for their music, and this affects behavior. You may think that this doesn't affect you that much because you already love Queen or Led Zeppelin or Coldplay or whatever else it might be, and then other music that you listen to is the music on the side. But reality is that we react to our stimulus, we react to what we're exposed to. And think about people younger than you and me. Say I'm about 39 years old. Say somebody who's 10 years younger than me, or 15 years younger than me, or 20 years younger than me. For them, they are growing up in a world where music is curated and served to them either in the form of Spotify or even in the form of the other thing that we need to talk about, which is TikTok. Because what happens? TikTok is selecting for the best optimized pieces of music according to their algorithm. Many people have talked about this, how artists are now making their music to adjust to the algorithm so that it gets boosted by TikTok. So people's musical tastes are not getting informed by a mass media. It is getting informed by the personalized, individualized recommendation based on their behavior. Now, where does all of this individualized recommendation come from? What are advertisers, or even, for example, people who are recommending music, the algorithms, or who are recommending videos, what do they react to? They react to your behavior. And what does your behavior come from? It comes from what you personally find that, the entire industry, whether it's advertising, whether it's social media, it is all based on making you get that little surge of dopamine in your brain that you like it. You watch that 15-second TikTok reel, you like it, you spend more time on it, or you share it, or whatever, or you don't swipe away immediately, right? On Spotify, you like something, you listen to it more for a longer period of time. Basically, what has happened now at scale, and is happening at scale, and companies keep getting better and better at it, is that they are better able to optimize the content that is served to you, the advertising that is served to you, the videos that is served to you, the music that is served to you, based on what is activating the dopamine and the pleasure centers in your brain. So, and that is one of the reasons why it is so addictive these days, why social media, TikTok, Reels, short form video, etc. is so addictive these days. It's because it is designed to be addictive, right? And it is designed to maximize the time that you spend. So what you have already seen happen at scale in the advertising industry, where you redirected advertising that is relevant to you, or in the case of content, your redirected contents based on your behavior, even your YouTube feed, you're gradually seeing that happen even with the music that you're served, which is informing the music that you listen to. And this may not sound all that bad. It may sound good because, hey, I'm going to get served the music that I like, etc., etc. I would say, yes, there is a positive aspect to it, but I feel that there are 2 or 3 very negative aspects to it. The first negative aspect to it is that it becomes a bit of a closed feedback loop. Your tastes are affected by what is served to you. And all these companies are constantly experimenting to serve you what they think you will like the best. But there is another thing that they are trying to solve for. They're trying to solve for how to serve you the content you like the best, but they're also trying to solve for how to maximize their profit, because ultimately these are all listed companies that need to keep growing profit for their shareholders. So what happens when you optimize for profit? it leads to some interesting behaviors. And I want to give you a very, very stark example that you will see right now on Spotify, where what Spotify has been doing is it has created this program, or it has identified there is a kind of music that they would like to serve, or content that they would like to serve to their users, called perfect fit content. Perfect fit content is the kind of content on which Spotify makes the most money. Why does Spotify make the most money on perfect fit content? Because it is either non-human created music, or it is very cheaply, like almost like stock images, how you can buy stock images, like stock image like created music. So what Spotify is trying to do is, beyond trying to maximize how much time people are spending listening to the platform, they're trying to push perfect fit content. Because on normal, if they have to say serve you songs by famous artists, they have to pay the artist a chunk of the money, a chunk of the streaming royalties, and Spotify does pay a lot. But guess what? If they manage to push to you and you start liking perfect fit content, then guess what? There's no artist to pay. There's no one to pay, and it's just a wonderful self-fulfilling thing. You react to these kind of content. They can better optimize. They can use AI tools and all the tools that we have right now to better improve the music towards your taste. Hi, Utkarsh from the mixing desk here. Now, this idea of using algorithms to constantly improve content without human intervention is not theoretical. This is exactly what we do today with ads. So a lot of the banners, a lot of the ads that you see right now that are redirected to you, they're not made by humans. They're literally programmed. This is programmatic marketing, where they automatically select the product from the thing, they select the price point, they select everything, and they automate everything based on your behavior. And so what happened is, in the past, in the advertising industry, you had a lot of people, artists, graphic designers, copywriters, who were all employed making advertisements. Today, it's all automated because you have a template, and then based on the algorithm, the template is modified and optimized. So this is not theoretical, this is actually happening. And it is going to happen to the music industry as well, given that we are getting the tools that can create the music directly without human intervention. No human involved, no cost involved. You get your dopamine center activated, Spotify makes more money, everybody's happy. But is that really the kind of future that you are looking at, that you want? That basically you have a machine constantly analyzing your behavior and creating auto-generating music based on your behavior and what you want to do? I don't know. It sounds very dystopian to me. And in the beginning of the video, I wanted to say that this is not an outrageous claim to make, because this is literally already happening in a very, very direct way. If you look at your Spotify feed right now, if you look at my Spotify feed right now, in my particular case, I'm a big fan of, because I like driving a lot, so I like some of the synth wave kind of music beyond all the rock music I listen to. And what I've started doing of late is, for all of these relatively electronic genres where it isn't really real instruments, or real instruments are a little bit more difficult to identify, these are the genres, and ambient as well, where Spotify has really pumped up what's that other genre called, where you just chill, lo-fi beats. For these genres, sorry, I kept interrupting myself. For these genres is where Spotify has massively amped up the perfect fit content, the non-human content, the ghost artist content. There's been ample reporting on this. So what is already happening to me, even though I would say I'm a fairly seasoned music listener, I've been listening to rock music since in my teens. The first album I ever bought was Dark Side of the Moon. So that kind of shows you the direction I went in. Even for me, my listening behavior, till I self-corrected for it, is tending towards a lot of these ghost artists without me even knowing. And this is for me. I had a good 15-20 years to form my musical taste before all of the mass media, social listening, social music came along. For people 10 years younger than me, 15 years younger than me, 20 years younger than me, this will be the default. So what's going to happen is that essentially your musical taste is informed by the music that is served to you using an algorithm based on your reactions, based on what gives you a dopamine hit. You are essentially a dopamine hit monkey inside a jukebox, right? The jukebox is served by AI or whatever is the maximum way for the company to make money. And it's already happening. What I have to keep reminding myself is what I think is the norm, that I have this love for these artists. And a lot of people still do. There are a lot of millennials, Gen X, boomers still alive who love these artists. You may think that that is how the future is, but for the future, it's different. For the future generations, we've talked in previous videos that there are cases where You can make, where you can literally create virtual artists and they have a huge following. You've seen this happening in Japan. So the guarantee of you having human like control over the kind of music you listen to and forming your music taste, that control you had before the individually identifiable account age, that's going. And the future is increasingly becoming a dopamine monkey jukebox. All right, folks, let me know what you think. Do you agree with what I'm saying? Do you maybe have a more optimistic prognosis of what's going to happen with music? I'd love to hear it. Please let me know in the comment section, and I'll see you next time.